federal government permit this? San Francisco receives more than $350 million a year in federal money. Why can't that be cut off until the city obeys federal law? Joining us now from Washington, Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee, and Congressman Peter King from New York. Congressman King, begin with you. Very simple question, and this is what my audience wants to know. San Francisco not only issuing ID cards to illegal aliens and won't cooperate with Homeland Security, but now says ROTC is going to be banned from any city public school. So why the federal government continuing to send money to these folks when they basically are sticking it to the feds?
Well, first let me say that what San Francisco and New Haven are doing is despicable. It undermines federal law. It encourages disrespect for federal law, and it's wrong. As far as the legality, the thinking in Washington has been that there is no specific law that addresses what local cities do as far as immigration. I think we have to change that thinking. I believe under the current immigration and naturalization law, you can go after cities who aid and abet illegal immigrants. I think we should consider doing that. I also think that we should have new legislation which allows the federal government to cut off assistance to the extent that the local governments do not cooperate with the federal government in going after illegal immigrants.
All right, so if you can, you're getting a driver's license law up now, a federal law, because there are 8 other states that give illegal aliens driver's licenses. So you're drafting a law. So I'd like to see on the bottom end of that law, after the license thing is defined, and any state that doesn't cooperate with Homeland Security in whatever their request is about illegal aliens loses federal funding. Because, look, these people it's basically anarchy now in San Francisco, isn't it? Isn't it anarchy there?
Bill, it is. I mean, they are clearly declaring themselves a law unto themselves. Now, my bill does say that states cannot give driver's licenses. Congressman Fasella has a companion bill which would reduce federal assistance by, I think it's 2% a year, to the extent that any state gives out an illegal driver's license. We have not yet addressed the issue of cities. I think we should. And we should say that, for instance, if cities do not cooperate with immigration officials, that we cut their federal aid. I also believe under current law that we can go after them for aiding and abetting illegal immigrants.
Well, it'd be interesting if the Attorney General would do that. Now, Congressman Blackburn, if a municipality in Tennessee, your home state, says, you know, we're going to raise the speed limit to 150 miles an hour, all right? And we're going to let anybody zoom as fast as they want. We're going to be the Autobahn of America. Federal government come in and say, well, you're not going to get any highway funds. You're not going to get any highway funds for that.
You're exactly right. And, Bill, we have so many different bills that would restrict funding. We're getting to the point where we've got to say just cut the funding off. And if a municipality is going to do this, they don't get funds. I have H.R. 3494, the CLEAR Act, which has said they're not going to get SCAP funds if they do not address this issue. And going after the funding, the power of the purse, I think that is one of the things we can most quickly do. That's the only way you guys are going to get it. You're not going to get it with persuasion. You're exactly right. Another thing, I've got a letter that we're circulating right now that the Treasury Department asking the treasurer to come in and say, all right, we are not going to recognize these city ID cards for allowing access to financial markets. We are talking today on the floor about predatory lending and about the credit crunch. And why in the world would we want to allow a card for someone who has illegally entered the country and then allow them to access those credit markets?
Well, absolutely, and they can live here legally in San Francisco and New Haven if they get the card. Now, right. Congressman King, you're from New York, so is Senator Clinton. Senator Clinton says no to driver's licenses. Can you figure out why? Maybe you know her better than I. Have you talked to her about it? Can you figure that out?
First, let me say I agree with everything Marsha said, and I co-sponsor her legislation, and she's doing a terrific job on this issue. She's a real hero on it. As far as Senator Clinton, Bill, she's fine.
Senator's not president yet, Congressman. Senator Clinton.
Okay. I'm just trying to, feed into your thinking. You're one of those Long Island guys who may consider a bill for president. No, Senator Clinton is totally wrong on this issue, but I can see why she is. She's boxed in. The left-wing progressive part of her party, the MoveOn.org crowd, They want open borders. They're pushing for illegal immigration, and so she's tied to them. On the other hand, she knows to win the general election that she has to move toward the middle, so she's trying to...
So there is no why behind it. She's just trying to get it. Ms. Blackburn, do you know the why behind it? Can you surmise what she...
Well, I tell you what, one of the things that is of tremendous concern to me is the fact that when somebody gets a driver's license, they can move to another state, they can get another license, they can register to vote, and that is something that we need to be watching very closely. This is an issue when I was in the state Senate in Tennessee, early 2001, we were dealing with this, but cut the funding, disallow reciprocity. If people are going to get driver's licenses in these states, make them reapply for a driver's license when they move to another state. Make them bring in secure ID elements.
Well, I mean, look, only American citizens should have the privilege to drive on a permanent basis. I mean, I don't mind giving the international people, you know, you're here for 3 weeks, fine. All right, we'll follow both pieces of legislation. You guys are going to have a tough slog through the Democratic-controlled Congress, though. I know that. So we will follow it, and we appreciate you taking the time. Next on the rundown, a brutal situation.